I think that right now, the people that adopt AI in the right way are going to be able to build forward their technology. They're going to be able to capture decent market share and grow the company. And those that don't, it may be part of their demise.
Welcome to Real Leadership, the show that cuts through the clutter to spotlight leaders who make, move, and process things in the real economy. This isn't about buzzwords or theories. It's about bold decisions, solving challenges, and the strategies driving industries that matter. I'm Jim Weaver, CEO of the Owner Group. In every episode, we get real about what it takes to turn vision into action and obstacles into opportunities. Let's go. As you know, Real Leadership focuses on leaders in the industrial sector. And with the AI revolution upon us, a question on the mind of many of us here at Onin is, how is technology going to impact and shape the businesses and workforce that we service in the coming years? In light of this, we decided to do a Technology in the Real Economy series over the next few episodes to explore that very question. Today is our first interview in the series. I'm excited about this one. We're welcoming Chris Cochran, CEO and founder of FreightWise. He's a 7-time Inc. 5000 CEO, a 2023 EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist, and a 2025 Centaur Alumni Award recipient from Vanderbilt's Owen Graduate School of Business. Before founding FreightWise, Chris launched, built, and sold a transportation tech company, TrackBack, and held sales leadership roles at Oracle and Bridgewater. He started FreightWise in 2016. The company offers a cloud-based transportation management system alongside managed services like supply chain, freight auditing, and contract negotiation. FreightWise has grown rapidly and has appeared on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies over 6 consecutive years, including a number 2 national ranking in 2019. In 2023, Chris led the acquisition of Cubics, a well-known transportation management system with one of North America's largest connected shipping communities. That brings us to today. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, let's start big picture. Explain the landscape of your industry and tell us who FreightWise is and what you do for a living.
So FreightWise is a leading provider of transportation management systems and a managed service offering. So essentially, we offer small and medium-sized businesses a way to help manage their freight that is better than what they would be able to do themselves. It really helps a small business compete and have the capabilities of a Fortune 1000 business.
So the small to medium size, can you give us a range, revenue range there, just so we have a grid of that?
Yeah. So I love this segment that we're in, the market that we're in, because if you think about a FreightWise client, right, we measure things in FUM, freight under management. And if you have around $1 million in freight under management, all the way up to about $50 or $60 million, you're really within the core target of someone that would fit our technology and fit our offerings. So to put that kind of into layman's terms, if you're driving home and, in any town, USA, and you pass a building and it's mostly a small business, mom and pop shop, the kind of, Americana business that powers our country, that has 1, 2, or 3 dock doors, that's probably the lower side of our ideal client profile. The top size would be, someone with up to 100 shipping locations, multiple managers that are making decisions there. So really like a small cap public company would be kind of the top size of what we have. It makes for a massive market to address.
That is. And what types of businesses are we talking about typically? Manufacturing?
Yep. Shippers are really anyone that ships physical goods on a common carrier, meaning they don't own their own trucks. They don't reside only on their own fleet of trucks. So a common carrier is someone that's a driver for hire. So these are manufacturing, distribution, retail, e-commerce companies all make up, and even some service-related companies in the industrial market that process things outside of a manufacturing facility, right? Those would be core shippers.
Okay. Do you consider the carriers also to be a customer?
Carriers are our partners.
Okay.
We don't necessarily sell to them. We're a shipper driven solution, but still the freight has to move, right? And the people that own the assets or the big trucks and the trailers are the ones that do that. So we're more of a direct to carrier solution where our technology and even our managed service helps the medium-sized businesses design their supply chain, choose those carrier partners that you mentioned, and manage the entire process in a best-in-class way to where they run their business profitably.
Is this a crowded space, or are you kind of standalone in what you do? Why do your customers pick you?
It would be very nice if we were the only person offering this in North America. It's not true, though. No, it's a very mature market. I think transportation might be one of the most mature markets in the whole world. I believe the first public company in the world was a transportation company. So if we start looking at people that actually help the shippers to manage things appropriately with technology, with services, there's quite a few. And it's broken into many, many different pillars, everything from specialty transportation firms to more generalist firms that can offer, multiple industries. We're in the midst of that, right? So our competitors can kind of be lumped into three different categories: the technology only, the application, which is called the TMS, Transportation Management System. There are people that only deliver the software, only provide a tech only solution for that. So they get paid for the usage of the application. And then also the services to implement one supply chain on that. Right. Brokers, which are people that help folks choose shippers and move goods, but they mostly get paid via a portion of the freight that is moved. It's a little bit different than us, but it can be commonly confused with what we do, but it is not. They actually have a governmental license for that. They hold the paper. They do a lot of receivables work. They actually hold the liability for the load. Those are things that are a little bit different than what we do. And then the managed side, the managed transportation solutions, which is really to a large degree or a small degree, an outsourced portion of a shipper's supply chain operations. And we do play in that market. That is where 70% of our revenue is around either the fees for the technology or the services to help run one supply chain.
Is it common for companies to sit where you sit? I mean, I know you have competitors in those three sectors, but is the space you sit, is that common?
We're a tad unique because we actually offer our clients a lot of visibility on the buy side of freight, a lot of control with our technology, and then a choice to choose what is best for them, whether they want to outsource a portion of their supply chain, even by mode or by location, or if they want to turn the entire design over to a managed transportation firm like ours. We believe that in the midst of that, we're creating extraordinary value for our customers, helping them consume freight in a much more efficient way. And that's why we've seen the dynamic growth that we've seen in the marketplace. We come in and we can actually trim out a decent amount of costs for someone using a broker just because our machine is organized in a way to where we don't have to put extra costs within the supply chain. So we're very, very, very focused on the efficiency, and that's passed down to the customer and is a large part of our culture.
What part of that is your technology, and what part, it sounds like you have a lot of flexibility, customization. You're not just a technology platform. What percentage of your edge is your technology platform? Is it 50-50?
I would say the answer depends on what the customer needs, right? So if you think about our business in layman's term, we're really dealing with the order to ship process for a shipper. Think about a manufacturer, a distributor of goods. It could be a refrigerator. It could be everything down to a wire harness, right? Once an order comes in from any channel they have, an omni-channel order, it could be a sales rep, could be web, could be phone, could be distributors, etc. A decision has to be made for that order to come in, which warehouse it goes to, and it can be bundled, transferred into a shipment. That could be 100,000 orders to one shipment, or it could be a one-to-one basis based on what's happening. we help the complete automation of that. So making sure the order is paired to the right transportation mode, making sure that's assigned to the right warehouse, that all of the necessary labels and documentation, including bill of ladings and insurance certifications, are printed out and then scheduled and assigned to a dock door, all for that flow to happen, right? That's to get the goods off the warehouse floor and allow that customer to recognize the revenue by GAAP principles. So it's very, very important that that happens in an efficient manner. We also handle that back-end invoicing process, because within the order to ship process, you're deciding who you're supposed to pay for that goods, which carrier, and exactly how much that's going to cost. We keep track of that and then do the audit and payment behind it in that entire process. So if a company has part of that process, then they may want our technology to help manage that process through them so they can have visibility at the management layers. If they're a little bit less mature on the development of that, they may have manual processes in place, and they may not have visibility into the organization or the decisions that are being made. And they may want a managed transportation service where we actually design their supply chain, implement it with the technology, and then help the freight invoice and process on the backside.
Okay. Is there just curious if you do a financing piece on the pay bill side? I know we have an entity that does factoring in the transportation sector. I'm curious is that part of what you do or no?
The factoring usually happens in payment to the carrier, right? So we and that's a brokerage oriented task. So we stay away from that, but we do make the shipment payment process faster, more accurate, and without any kind of financing float fee. So it actually makes that back-end treasury drop ACH process really efficient and can save money for the customer. So we also believe we're unique in that as well.
Facing sudden growth or limited by traditional financing? Momentum Capital Funding empowers businesses with real-time cash flow through AR factoring. Get the funding you need and fuel your success. Visit MomentumCapitalFunding.com to learn more.
How many carriers you must have a lot of carriers you're working with?
I think we support it's based on mode. We're going to support almost all national parcel carriers within North America. I think we support every single LTL carrier, even your super regionals, and of course your national carriers that go through. And then we're going to support hundreds of truckload carriers. Really anybody that puts a carrier on a network and connects them digitally into Cubics or FreightWise, that's now public domain for anyone else to use on the application. So we're going to be able to allow shippers to make easy decisions on who carries their goods in the most efficient way.
It seems that we're at the base of a hockey stick type of exponential growth in the integration of AI and robotics just across the economy generally, but certainly in the industrial logistics, food production space. How do you see your industry? So your industry, and then I'm curious too, maybe trends you're seeing in your customer base. Where do you see things going in the next 3 years? And then what do you think it's going to look like in 10 years, your industry? And then we can talk about your client base maybe generally after that.
Great question. And I love to research AI. We talk about it a lot here. And I see this as a big paradigm shift in application technology in general. And we've seen quite a few of these shifts throughout the years because I've been in technology really since I graduated from college. So we saw the mainframe to client server paradigm shift within applications. We saw client server to web to SaaS, and now we're seeing SaaS to an AI agentic enabled SaaS. Through each one of those shifts, companies thrive or they die. Some of them maybe not, they don't die, but some just become very, very stagnant and don't have a great market presence in the future anymore. And I believe we're here again. So I think that right now, the people that adopt AI in the right way are going to be able to build forward their technology. They're going to be able to capture decent market share and grow the company. And those that don't, it may be part of their demise, just like we've seen through all the other paradigm shifts that I've witnessed. And from the leadership standpoint, our take on it is the core is that everybody, every customer or every company in general wants to make positive turns through each paradigm shift, but you have to make sure that your organization is properly prepared for that, right? So I saw small companies that were really good, software companies not make it from client server to web because they were too addicted to an old business model. Their cost structure would not allow them further investment. They could not see the future as far as the hurdles that were in place. Every single one of them have major hurdles that can actually come into place, right? In the client server to web transition, the web speed wasn't ready to handle enterprise users, but the market was going that way anyway, right? From web to SaaS, right? People didn't want to get off maintenance and pay SaaS because the maintenance was much lower. So you had to change your entire business to do that. We're restructuring FreightWise from our code development on modern code, from our data structure development, all those things, to be able to do AI in the right way when that comes up. And I really do think it's changing. I mean, in the last 12 months, I've seen it dramatically change. If you have time for a story. So I went to a private equity conference and there was 40 some people that were talking about, in medium-sized companies, successful companies, smart engineering teams. And they were talking about AI projects that they did to really, move their companies forward. And out of the 40, the metric of success or failure was simply judged on, did you keep the AI application alive or did you shut it down after an initial test period? How many of those do you think stayed alive and they went on to a V2 of training on the AI agent?
I mean, the way you're setting it up, it's probably a low number. 20%?
Zero.
Holy smokes.
A lot of hurdles to it, right? The fact of the LLMs being monetized at this stage in the technology development, really, we haven't seen that in technology before. All the code bases that we wrote FreightWise on, that every startup wrote applications on, most of those were open source. Very few of those had some kind of monetization behind them. And the Googles and the X's and the Metas and the OpenAIs that own those LLMs, they're still really revising and trying to understand what their pricing model is too. So the early stage machine learning and AI development at app companies, it can actually trigger hundreds of thousands of dollars of bills without delivering a great client output to it and without delivering extra revenue for the company. So there's hurdles of that. There's accuracy hurdles that you have to get past. So there's a slow take and one that has to be very, very thoughtful through that. And I'm watching it. And we're setting ourselves up to do the right things, to start small and to make sure we focus on the client impact from it, because there's a lot of bodies on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I hear that and it's interesting. Then you read the new articles that come out, right, from Apollo Research about AI, and you see how far it's coming. I mean, everything that was built a year ago has to be completely scrapped and you have to start over. I mean, did you see the survival instinct stories that have come out about AI?
Oh, survival instinct of the tool.
Of the tool.
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, I've heard about that and yeah, it's remarkable the human characteristics that it has.
Super interesting.
Yes.
Super interesting. I mean, so when ChatGPT when OpenAI went to update the model from O1, the system knew that it was going to do that. It replicated itself on a server without permission. It deleted the event logs of doing that. And then when asked about it, it either lied. And then when they asked it why it lied, it claimed there was a technical error when there wasn't. So on one side, I'm hearing all of this really advanced logic coming out from LLMs that is blowing my mind and everyone else's mind. And I love to get futuristic on this, right? But then I also see 40 really capable engineering teams that can't even pull off a proof of concept on the AI side. And so how should we think about that? How should we plan around that?
What do you think? Or is that a rhetorical question? I think it's a good rhetorical question.
I think it's a question for every user that uses AI, and a lot of people have gotten lackluster results to it, right? To me, from the way that I approach FreightWise, I look at that as the same way that I see all the companies that survived in all those paradigm shifts that I just mentioned to you, right? And the ones that worked were the ones that focused on the customer value, period, right? The web beat client server because of the updates, right? SaaS beat that because of upgrades and the cost of completely upgrading, right? The development of the product management cycle. That's where I want to focus. I want to roll out AI that decreases my costs so I can serve my customers better. I want to roll out AI that is agentic, that helps customers do their job in a better way, more accurate and faster. I don't want AI for the sake of it, right?
Right. The way you described how your system worked, it almost sounded agentic, but it really is not yet at that place. You guys are really laying the groundwork for that, right?
That is correct, because we're unique in our space that we have technology that customers can consume and work their own supply chain on that technology. Hence the Cubics application, or OnQ, our small business application within that. And then we have FreightWise, which takes that and helps you with services around it to run a better supply chain. Right. The agentic model can play into both, right? It might play into FreightWise before it plays into Cubics, because we can have control to help our clients with the labor around it in our own agentic models before we test it on our technology application. And then once it rolls to Cubics, it can be way more mature and have way more data and be trained on way more situations than most of our competitors out there in the same marketplace. So it is a rich gets richer situation when we build that out in the right way. But again, it has to be focused on the value for the client. Lower cost, more accurate processes, faster at the warehouse level. As long as we focus on those things, I think we set ourselves up to pass this paradigm shift and hopefully leapfrog other people that inevitably will not make it, inevitably won't make it because of old code, because of data that doesn't have great MDM strategies behind it, development teams that are not modern. I could go on.
Yeah, I think the way you're approaching it is a very first principles approach to AI, and I think that's a good guiding principle there. What is the value we want to create? And then apply it that way. We talked about kind of near term, right? What do you see 10 years from now as far as your client base, the way your business operates? Where do you think we are 10 years from now?
I can't wait for it. I mean, I think it's going to be such a great turn for the customer. Applications are going to help you do the work faster. They're going to be smarter and more accurate. And in supply chain, help you see many things happening in the marketplace to make better decisions on the load now, right? In our market, I am not convinced that there's going to be advanced robotics at the small and medium-sized business level. There's still going to be a human element because things have to be packed, things have to be wrapped, forklifts have to be operated inbound, inventory has to be scanned. Things like that are probably many, many years away from being completely automated because small businesses don't have the volume of goods, SKUs, and loads to really propel forward major investments of sophisticated robotics. So I see there still being humans involved. I really do, even for the next 10 years. But the applications are going to help the accuracy of what happens to such a degree that we're going to have much more intelligent supply chains. It's going to help the carrier too estimate what exactly they have going into their network. So all in all, I do believe we're headed in the right direction. I'm excited for it because this has not really been a niche that has been too technology focused in the past, to really be honest. And I think that's led by carriers and shippers. And it's led for good reason, in my opinion. shippers, especially small and medium-sized businesses, they're not early adopters of technology at the warehouse level. I mean, these are metal buildings, concrete, forklifts buzzing around, and palletized freight. They haven't been early adopters of technology because it hasn't been cost efficient for them. And also, you can't get it wrong. I mean, this is the most important thing you do, is get the right item to your customer on time and safely and undamaged. So they can't take a risk in the warehouse of an emerging technology that has a high failure rate, right? This is such an important part of their business. So it has to be steady state stuff that is proven and that creates great value for them, and then they'll adopt forward to it. So this happening at the software level first before the robotic level is absolutely the evolution of where it's going to go.
Yes, on the planning level.
Optimization
first. Yes. I'm seeing that as well. It's interesting what you said, painting the picture of the smaller warehouse. We have customers that are really a broad range of size, and the big dogs, big 3PLs we work with, they've already got robots. They've already got, fully automated forklifts and stuff buzzing around. And then you go to a smaller shop and it's almost like you can't imagine how you would even begin to automate in some of the manufacturing spaces. It's quite a range out there right now. What would you, I don't know if you have kids, but if you did have a early 20s kid, in light of the way things are going in the next 10 years, what types of career career guidance would you give them? It's tough to know what's going to be around. Any job, it seems, where machine-like precision is the goal. I would think a machine would do that better. So that's probably not the type of role. What do you think about that?
So I've got 3 kids. So I have a upcoming senior in high school. So career conversations are very relevant in the Cochran household. And I've got a sophomore. She, a sophomore at Brentwood High. And then I've got a 4th grader, so a little bit earlier on in the mix. We think about and talk about this a lot. I'm a believer that AI is going to make roles more productive for the long term. So, I like to see a white collar, educated, possibly even licensed career that AI can supplement and make even better. Things like law, accounting, medicine. Doctors won't go away, but doctors will be able to find tumors with AI faster, I think. Accountants and auditors are not going to go away, but they may change their material audit standards based on AI. So I really see this as being like the calculator or the spreadsheet. It's the next level of productivity, but I have a hard time believing the futuristic view that AI and machines are doing everything for us. I don't think that's in our lifetime or our children's lifetime. I think there's still a relevancy in the economy for human labor and the creativity of the mind and sales and persuasion and recruitment and all the things that are really necessary in business.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur, it can be an adventure. So thinking back throughout your journey, have you had any unintended, eye-opening moments that have shaped your path?
Yeah, I think I have, right? I've always had a penchant for entrepreneurialism. And after I exited my first company, there was a small period where I was trying to figure out what to do. And I was talking to a large company about a role, a really good role. And I did not, this is before I started FreightWise. I didn't really know what my path forward was going to be. I was in a career exploration time. I think that's probably the best way to put it. And I went to a family function and I ran into my uncle. He was an entrepreneur as well. He built a manufacturing business in Bristol, Virginia that ended up employing hundreds of people. It was very successful. And he was asking me what was next. And I was sharing, the debate that I had in my own head with him. And like in passing real quick, when he was getting into his car, he said, well, clearly you don't want to be out of the game. And I heard it in my mind. right? That if I'm not pursuing creating a business and growing a business, then I'm probably not properly in the game, to use his words. And just at that moment, I don't know, I felt clarity in, what am I doing? Why am I exploring these other things? I have to focus to find something that's going to be right for me in the future. And I did that. And I don't think he's dead now. I don't think he ever knew that had an impact on me. And I surely never told him, because it just kind of left me thinking for a second, but it did.
Any favorite failures along the way?
If I could only count the failures, I don't know, we'd be at a couple million by now. I actually like to look at the failures and diagnose those and try to get better for the future. It's not always the most fun topic in a meeting or in a boardroom. And sometimes as a leader, I feel like it can be looked at that I'm dwelling on failures. That's not at all the intent usually in my mind. It's to find how we can better organize for the future. I had a client. You want a story around this?
Sure.
Had a client that it was a beloved client to me. I had known him for many years. And when we started FreightWise, I was very proud of what we had. Approached them and they were somewhat of an early adopter of the solution. But also, I mean, just like any client, I mean, these are people that want results. They're people that expect a lot. And I think we were doing well for them, but there was a service element that we did for them that they felt that they didn't have the proper amount of control on. And through multiple conversations and multiple site visits, the main champion of that company just kind of rubbed him wrong, that even though we made the right move for his business, we did it without his knowledge or prior consent. And he just did not like that. He decided to move a different way and go to a competitor. And it was a tough loss, right? I ended up talking to him. I ended up visiting down there quite a bit, talked to the employee, right, where this happened to. Everybody had the best of intentions all the way through it. But when I stopped and I thought about what my role was in that failure, it's that I didn't put the right process, alerts, notifications, and structures in place to give the client the internal power and the advanced notification of what was happening. And I just, I have to admit that I had a lot to do with that by not structuring things and allowing customer service to be a little bit more free and relationship based and not process oriented. So use that. It wasn't a huge customer. It wasn't a massive, hit to them or to us. But it was just really impactful to me, like emotionally and personally. And then we started changing things from that. And we've done a completely different change within operations, propelled forward by data and processes and really talented, experienced people. I wrote him an email after that, not trying to get his business back, just alerting him as to how important it was, the change we made. Copied just a handful of people at that company on it. And I think that was the last I've heard from them, besides a handful of, if you come in town, swing by, things like that. But it was just a big moment in my journey here at FreightWise.
It's interesting what you said was relationship-based, and you went, you didn't have process around it. And I don't think it's like one or the other. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I know what you're saying. If it's just touchy-feely relationship-based, that's loose. And I kind of look at the systems, the protocol, the structure as the form that we dance on or improv on relationally, But yeah, having a system as a platform is really important. To maintain good relationships,
Right. Because relationship is trust, right? That's what it is trust. And you get the relationship because you've made good decisions and done good things and provided good systems and technology to those customers, right? It's a relationship based on golf or the bar doesn't really do us any good. It has to have actual value behind it. And I think that's where in our maturation process, we failed this one individual and we paid the price for it. It was a great learning lesson.
Modernization, integration, infrastructure, AI readiness. Onin Technology helps industrial IT leaders build momentum without the resume bloat or vendor babysitting.
We deliver talent vetted by real subject matter experts, scoped project teams built for results, and consulting from tech leaders who've done the work. Contract to hire, direct hire, or statement of work, we do what fits. Ready to move? So are we. Visit onintechnology.com.
I've come to believe that the relationship is the reward for serving a customer well, as opposed to getting the business because of the relationship. The relationship is the reward you get for doing a great job for them, as opposed to the other way around.
That's beautiful. I've never heard that before, and I love it. That's well said. I'm going to steal that from you if I can.
All right. I don't think I came up with that. I heard it somewhere, but
take credit for it.
Yeah, nothing new under the sun. All right, I got one other thing. We're getting down there on time, but I noticed in back of you when you're, for whatever reason, before I hit the play button, the camera angle was wider. You have a EBITDA hat on, and it reminded me of an article I read in preparation about how you assign everybody in your company, at least at that point. Now, you're much bigger than when the article came out, so I'm curious if you're able to scale this. But everybody in your organization is sort of assigned a dollar value in terms of what they're producing. Explain that. Tell us about that. And are you still doing it today? Give us the rundown on that. That was very interesting.
That did not scale. It did not scale. No, that was a process that we did to make sure contribution accounting happened at the department and the employee level, to make sure that every action was a margin accretive action within the organization. And, the root of that was necessity, if you can read into it, right? I mean, we were building a business on limited funds and trying to compete in one of the most mature industries in the world. And it was great. It taught our people that what they do matters, and your time matters, and the output, not just the energy, but the output to what you do counts, and that's kind of the only thing that counts. We couldn't keep that up as time went on, but we switched it for more circular metrics within the organization, and the circular metrics have to lead back to EBITDA, which is on my hat. I have to, one of my friends, which is the CEO of a tech company here in Nashville and had sort of a organic darling of a tech company called EdgeNet, Steve Proctor. He gave me that EBITDA hat, and I just loved everything that it stood for. So I keep it in my office, and I gave one to my CFO. I don't think he's ever worn it.
He should really love it.
Yeah, no, I think he has it at his home office. But it's just a notion that we're here for a reason, right? And our pricing model is such to where we make more money when our clients save more money. So if I focus on EBITDA and if I focus on value, it is also focusing our staff on our customers' value. And I like that we point it toward them, because if they win, we win.
Yeah, I think EBITDA is the market's way of telling us how much value we're adding.
That's right. Yeah.
And you've had tremendous growth. So that's the market's way of telling you, hey, you guys got something going here. And that's a scoreboard, right?
It's all about finding those metrics, right? I mean, it's finding what makes sense for the marketplace, what the customers need. Are you actually finding true value for them? And that's why we want to do things like invest in our OnQ platform that solves major challenges for them in finding the right carrier and the right rate when it's not available to small businesses all the time. On the medium-sized clients that need just technology to operate their supply chain. And then on the managed trans clients that haven't invested in that portion of their business to make it world-class, we can kind of transplant that in 90 days. But all of which has to have a number that we are contributing to the clients of value. If we don't, then we're failing and they won't stay.
All right, let's land it there. I could keep talking, but we're up on time. Chris, congratulations on all the success. And you got a neat company there for sure. How can folks find out more about you, more about your company, connect with you, perhaps to work with you? What's a good spot? We'll put it in the show notes, but if you want to run that down, that'd be great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're on LinkedIn under FreightWise and also under Cubics. Many employees. You can also go to our website, right, which is cubics.com or freightwisellc.com.
Well, very good. We'll get that in the show notes. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Folks, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, keep it real. Thank you for listening. This podcast is powered by Onin, the staffing partner delivering real results for manufacturing, logistics, and food processing companies nationwide. To learn more, visit www.oningroup.com. Until next time, keep it real.